Greece, Turkey, South Korea, all countries that have had streaming services in their headlines in recent months. But why are government entities clamping down on them? Why have they started pulling out of countries? Did they fly too close to the sun? Well, let's start by talking about...
Why do lawyers use such funny words?
If you've been paying attention to the streaming space recently, you might have seen Twitch getting a lot of flack from its Korean audience due to their communities receiving a lack of support. Why do they need support? Well, after burning so much money to overtake Africa TV in the Korean market, the former largest streaming site in the region, Twitch will be pulling out of Korea. Why? Well, back in 2020, South Korean lawmakers passed an amendment to their Telecommunications and Business Act, dubbed the Netflix Law. The idea behind this was to force foreign corporations like Netflix and Meta to operate in a way that would make them more compatible with current domestic policies, in doing so making sure they pay their fair share in securing stable services and bringing them in line with domestic content providers. What this meant in practice is something called the Sending Party Network Pays, or the Sender Pays model, where content platforms are charged based on the amount of web traffic that they generate. For example, Netflix went to court over Squid Game, which at its peak cost Netflix an extra 27.2 billion Korean won, which is about 23 million USD or 18 million pounds in additional network fees. Believers in this policy argue that these extra charges are the reason that Korea has such cheap and fast internet speeds, and while their speeds are certainly cheap and fast, it is not substantially different when compared to neighbouring regions which don't use the sender pays model. However, those of you versed in this space might realise that this violates net neutrality, the idea you should control what you see and do online and not your broadband provider. Interestingly, this law results in the ISPs being paid twice, once by you and once by the website. But I think in this case it's particularly bad for Korea because they only have 3 ISP providers. To put that into perspective for you, the UK has over 100. The difference is you require government approval to set up an ISP in Korea. This particular policy makes it very expensive to run a live streaming service, as the low latency is basically required for a streamer to react to their chat in any reasonable time, thus raking up those network fees. Dan Clancy, the Twitch CEO, is on the record saying it was 10 times more expensive to operate in Korea when compared to other local regions. And while we don't have specific figures, we do have their actions. First, they tried to cut costs by limiting streams to 720p. This was met with backlash as well as reducing their market share in Korea. So they moved to a direct peer-to-peer model to bring the streams back up to 1080p rather than using a brokering server. Anyone with any cybersecurity knowledge will notice that not only does this expose users' IP, it also makes them much more vulnerable to cyber attacks. And so, unwilling or unable to keep paying these network fees, on the 27th of February, Twitch pulled out of South Korea. And it was a shit show. Not only will it kneecap any Korean streamers that are advertising themselves to an English base, others have been complaining that they lack the support they had been promised. And it wasn't just users who had an issue with Twitch's pullout. The Korean Communications Commission, or KCC, has fined Twitch for their actions. To be specific, they have levied 2 fines at them. The first was for 435 million won, which is just over £250,000. The reasoning is because they reduced the video quality from 1080 to 720 and suspending its video on demand, or VOD, services in South Korea. The second fine imposed was 15 million won, or roughly £8,900, due to Twitch's failure to apply a system that would prevent the distribution of illegal footage, which, while true, is odd because they only issued the fine after they ceased operations within the country. In addition to all these fines, the KCC have ordered Twitch to provide evidence justifying their decision to terminate VOD services in Korea if the platform wishes to resume operations in South Korea in the future. So, will Twitch comply? At time of writing, they don't have any reason to comply with the South Korean government, nor is there any punishment that they could give them that would affect them in any serious manner, merely preventing them from re-entering the market in the future. So, will they do it? Probably. On the off chance that Korea reverses this rule, it would not be the first time that Korea has made major changes to online policy, with a judge striking a law down in 2012 that required users to use their real names online. So they might just pay the fine to keep their options open for the future. At time of writing, Kick is still operating in Korea. You might be scratching your head, how? If Twitch is pulled out, how is Kick doing it? And the answer is, I don't know, but there are two options I can think of. The first is that due to their large backing and willingness to spend, Kick are more than happy to absorb these losses to have a space in the South Korean market due to their unique place in esports culture. The second option is that they've done what Netflix did. So, in the aforementioned case, they never did go to court. Netflix struck a deal with SK Broadband, the ISP. So Kick might simply just have a bespoke agreement with an ISP, allowing them to keep their costs down. This idea of a sender's pays model has been picking up steam around the world, with the idea being thrown around in the EU Parliament before. And while there are currently no plans to implement such a system, it'll be interesting to see how the industry reacts. Will Twitch remonetize existing systems, or will they retreat into an ever smaller market? While the most recent case happens in Korea, it hasn't been the only country to ban streaming platforms. So, let's talk about... So, a couple of years ago, we got a bit of a Twitch civil war between some of the biggest and most well-established content creators on the platform. They were arguing with each other as to whether it was appropriate and ethical for streamers to stream gambling content. To save you both time and your brain cells, the TLDR is that this argument led to two major changes in the streaming landscape that you need to know about. The first is that Twitch updated their gambling policy. This updated policy banned the streaming of websites with slots, roulettes, or dice games. They also banned the promotion and sponsorships of skin gambling platforms, with the most infamous example being that of CSGO Lotto. However, this was not a site-wide ban on gambling, as they do still allow US licensed websites, as well as sites focused on poker, sports betting, and fantasy sports. The second thing that you need to know of is that this argument led to one of the most prominent Twitch streamers at the time, Trainwrecks, to partner up with Stake co-founders Bijim and Ed Craven. If you are unaware of Stake, it's one of the biggest online gambling websites. Anyways, they spin up a separate streaming platform called Kick. So you have Twitch with limited gambling, and you have Kick with unlimited gambling. This is important background information because on the 13th of February, Turkish journalist Ibrahim reported that the BTX, it does have a proper name, I can't pronounce it, had indicated an investigation into Kick for its collaboration with international gambling entities, offering gambling activities on its platform and its recent expansion into Turkey. Obviously talking about Stake. This investigation led to the General Directorate of the National Lottery Administration banning the website on the 20th of February. According to Ibrahim, the Turkish officials argued that, quote, Kick's entry into Turkey was to attract Turkish youth to roulette. Then, on the 23rd of February, the hardest working Turkish journalist Ibrahim reported once again that Twitch would be banned in Turkey by the Directorate of National Lottery Administration due to the presence of comparable content to that found on Kick. These bans make sense for Turkey, as it is a misdemeanor in the country to provide a place and opportunity for individuals to gamble. It's a crime. Okay, so we have two websites that are banned for gambling. Cool, that makes sense, except on the 27th of February, one was unbanned, and it's not the one you think. Kick's partner manager in the region, Terd, I have no idea to be honest, went onto Twitter to make a statement where he said, quote, as Kick, we have banned gambling-related publications to users in Turkey. From now on, when you connect to Kick from Turkey, you will not be able to access these broadcasts. We did our part. We are waiting for Kick to be opened by the BTK. Incidentally, according to Terd, the BTK did not reach out and request any action from them initially. They simply barred them from the country, quote, without any warning, end quote. And so they were promptly unbanned. In contrast, you have Twitch, which at time of writing has yet to take any action on the matter. There has been no public statement. There was no mention in either Turkey or gambling. In the recent Our Plans for 2024, an open letter from Twitch CEO Dan Clancy post. There is nothing. And so it still remains banned within the country. I just find it incredibly funny that a website that was spun up because of Twitch's restrictive gambling policies has been unbanned from a country because it was more prompt to take action on gambling than Twitch, which still remains banned. I just find that amusing. The situation gets compared a lot to what happened to Greece, where some people think that Kick was banned due to gambling. This is because of a screenshot that's been floating around saying, quote, "You have attempted to access a site that provides unauthorized gambling services. By law, internet service providers are required to disallow access to unauthorized gambling sites listed on the blacklist. It is noted that participation in gambling, which organized without authorization by the Helika Republic, carries out administrative and criminal penalties. More information regarding the blacklist can be found here." End quote. This is a real screenshot. Kick was banned in the country, but it's more complicated than that. While the Helika Gaming Commission did ban Kick, it's more accurate to say that they banned a single channel or category, the Slots Gang channel. As stated in the screenshot, all banned websites are placed on an Excel spreadsheet blacklist, which the ISPs have to enforce. One particular ISP mistakenly blocked the entire website rather than a single category, resulting in this screenshot. My understanding is that this situation has since been resolved, but I am not Greek, nor do I want to pay for a VPN. So if any of my Greek viewers could check, I would be greatly appreciated. Let me know down in the comments below. While the creator economy is incredibly large, with Goldman Sachs estimating it to be worth around 250 billion USD, the streaming sector is just a small part of that. Even with businesses offering deals that would make professional athletes blush, it will be interesting to see how these industry leaders react when governments start going after bigger fish which operate on the same principles. Will they be able to ride those waves, or will they drown in their wake? Either way, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Why not give it a like and subscribe? If you want to see whether the day before was just a scam or plain incompetence, and what the devs actually thought about the launch, click here. If you want to know why some Xbox fans think the console is dead, click here instead. Either way, bye.